think it could help a lot to create these, let's say, multinational universities or international universities. I think legal frameworks are a big barrier. We need to homogenize the curriculum, or maybe not homogenize, but just be more open. Okay, we have all this Bologna Declaration and the other, but at the end, what we really need is that there are not so many bureaucracy. There's a lot of unnecessary bureaucracies.
Transnational cooperation projects and actions is represented by the difficulties and barriers against the authentic and dynamic recognition of learning experiences. Not only competencies and skills, we are very much in favor of using learning experience because our students, traditional, not traditional, will be deeper and highly motivated, involved in different learning experiences. They are committed to try to live in this context. And of course, I could mention here also the credit points and why not the academic papers, degrees, diplomas and certificates as well. Here, the lack of diplomas trust, despite of the huge progresses registered in the last decade. It's perhaps most easier to co-create a joint program from a curricular construction generated, of course, in commonally, then build a mutual way to flexibilize and recognize learning experiences as part of the teaching and learning processes.
We are on an island, so traveling and moving around is a little bit more complicated for us since we cannot, let's say, take the train and go to another country. So given our sensibility and awareness around sustainability and our footprint, we want to limit our footprint regarding traveling. But of course, it's necessary to move to visit the campuses of our partners abroad, whether they are EUT Plus partners or not. To get to know their infrastructure, etc., to have physical meetings, and this is one important impact that we see quite regularly, since we do need to travel around for our project.
So in terms of challenges, thinking specifically of our work within Europe, I think the obvious example is Brexit. It's a shame that we are out of the Erasmus framework program, which is I guess a shame for our staff and our students. We do have a domestic alternative now in the UK that's been running for a couple of years, but it doesn't provide us with the bilateral benefits that we got from being part of Erasmus, and the whole idea of it being a truly reciprocal scheme. And then on the research front, Brexit obviously has posed an issue in that we still don't quite have certainty on whether or not we will associate to Horizon Europe.
In the European Universities Initiative, we find that we are facing more barriers and challenges than we had perhaps anticipated in this deep transnational collaboration. Despite working on the Bologna process reforms for over 20 years, the education landscape in Europe is still very fragmented, and there still are many legal barriers due to different rules in different countries. There are legal barriers that need to be overcome, for example, when developing a joint degree, as well as issues such as trusting the quality assurances in the various systems. So policy changes at the national level are important, but how this is addressed in the different countries appears to vary greatly. I would also like to mention something that you would think is relatively minor, such as how the academic calendars differ so widely in universities across Europe, which is proving to be a barrier of the seamless mobility envisioned within the European University Alliances. There are also administrative hurdles, such as registering students, issuing transcripts or records, and most importantly, credit recognition. It is also critical to provide more sustainable funding for such deep and university-wide collaboration. Without the certainty of long-term funding, it is difficult to address such fundamental changes in higher education and the way universities operate.
I think it's a challenge to find the right balance between central and decentral initiatives, between bottom-up and top-down, and evidently also for allowing for academic freedom to entirely foster, but also take into account certain framework conditions.
Everything changed in February 22. University of Lapland's internationalization strategy has always been based on good relations and collaboration with our Arctic neighbors. Russia is half of the Arctic, and it's our neighbor. It's, of course, all Western countries needed to close all institutional collaboration, and this included also University of Lapland. So a huge chunk of our kind of collaboration history just disappeared. This was sad and dramatic, but the only possible way to proceed. So that challenge is, all other challenges at the moment are in a way seem small technical issues compared to this one, that we simply cannot continue the type of collaboration that is really necessary, because many of the issues related to kind of a research and education here, require solutions that where Russia needs to be a partner. So things like climate change or human rights issues related to indigenous peoples, or the problems haven't gone away, but it's a huge challenge to not be able to collaborate to kind of find solutions together.